The NBA is a league of superstars. The headlines are dominated by the LeBron Jameses and Luka Doncic's of the world, while we hear little about the unheralded role players that support them. Today I hope to shed some light on some of the league's most underappreciated players, from understated, solid players that hold bench mobs together to surprisingly high-volume, effective scorers. Here is an underappreciated player from every Eastern Conference team. From the Atlanta Hawks, Kevin Huerter. As a second-year player, Kevin Huerter has become a must-cover player from three-point land. Shooting 38% from three through his first two NBA campaigns, Huerter has proved himself a reliable option alongside Trae Young. Young is one of the league's elite scorers, and teams looking to double-team him will swiftly be punished by Kevin Huerter's deadly jump shot. While the three ball is certainly where Kevin Huerter is going to make his money in his NBA career, he's also chipping in 4 rebounds a game and 4 assists a game, which isn't bad for a two guard playing alongside a ball-dominant point guard like Trae Young. From the Boston Celtics, Enes Kanter. With big market, big media coverage teams like the Celtics, it can be hard to find somebody who is truly undercovered or underappreciated. In a small market, maybe a player in a situation of a Marcus Smart or even a Jaylen Brown may go a little more underappreciated. The lights are bright in Boston, so it's a little harder to find somebody who truly qualifies as being underappreciated. So here I've decided to go with Enes Kanter. Kanter is a victim of the times. He's an old school big man, always an effective interior scorer and an absolute monster on the offensive boards. Kanter can be an effective change of pace big man that feasts against small ball teams, not prepared for his particular brand of bully ball. From the Brooklyn Nets, Caris Levert. Maybe calling Caris Levert underappreciated isn't totally fair, as he does get quite a bit of respect from basketball fans. I still don't feel like his profile matches his production in the NBA. Levert was nearly a 20-point per game scorer this year, and if he remains in Brooklyn through the KD and Kyrie era, he could potentially present a strong third scoring option, or, if paired with Spencer Dinwiddie, could be part of the most potent bench backcourt duo in the league. And in terms of trades, Levert potentially ending up on another team isn't totally out of the realm of possibility, and a young rebuilding team could certainly look to add him to a developing core. From the Charlotte Hornets, PJ Washington. The Hornets. Look, I'm sorry, Charlotte fans. I'm sorry about everything that you deal with every day. And in a weird way, the entire Hornets roster is underappreciated, I guess. But the fact that there is indeed a couple of decent basketball players out there may come as a surprise to some fans. So here I'll highlight PJ Washington. I thoroughly believe that PJ Washington is going to piece together a solid NBA career. He's a modern stretch 4, and as a rookie is already shooting 37.4% from three-point range. He scored 12 a game and pulled in 5.5 boards per game. PJ made the all-rookie team this year and is the kind of player that any team is better off having on their roster. From the Chicago Bulls, Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn doesn't seem like he'll ever live up to being the 5th overall pick in the 2016 draft, but he has certainly carved himself out a role in the league. While the homie can't shoot a jumper to save his life, he is a badgering, pestering defender, and he has some of the league's stickiest fingers, averaging 2 steals per game this year. Dunn doesn't seem like he's going to develop into a star at any point, but he could potentially be an important player on a winning roster. From the Cleveland Cavaliers, Larry Nance Jr. Larry Nance dunks. It's sort of his thing. But not only does he dunk, this year he started to drift back to the three-point line with some decent efficiency. He only took 3 a game this year, but sunk them at a respectable 35%. Especially respectable considering he basically didn't shoot them at all until recently. Nance presents an explosive option at the 4, but also has the vertical ability to be an effective lob threat style small ball 5. Larry Nance already possesses a skill set that could be used on a championship caliber team, but if he develops into an even more effective shooter as a stretch 4 option, he'd be a valuable piece for any team. From the Detroit Pistons, Derrick Rose. Okay, I know what you're saying. Derrick Rose is a former MVP, and we hear about his story all the time. But that's just it. We hear about the stories, the injuries, and who he was. But the truth is that Derrick Rose is an effective player in the NBA right now. Rose is coming off back-to-back 18-point-per-game seasons as a sixth man. He managed to play the majority of this last season remaining healthy, and in this phase of his career has become perhaps the most lethal scoring sixth man in the league. If you think picking a former league MVP as an underappreciated player is a cop-out, fine. Luke Kennard shoots really well and Christian Wood is a cool stretch 4 option, but for real, I think Derrick Rose's effectiveness as a current NBA player is highly underappreciated, and wherever he may end up, if he remains in Detroit or if he goes to a better team, he will have an impact whatever roster he's a member of. From the Indiana Pacers, TJ McConnell. Here's a fun fact about TJ McConnell I discovered while researching this video. He has impressively managed to average 6 point something points his entire career. That's regardless of if he was a rookie or how many minutes he's been playing. I digress. TJ's crucial skill set is clearly not in the realm of scoring. TJ makes his money playmaking off of the bench. He managed to average a full 5 assists this last year in only 18 minutes on the floor per game. TJ isn't necessarily a guy who shows up on the stat sheet either. His high effort play and reliable playmaking makes him the perfect addition to run any bench mob's offense. From the Miami Heat, Duncan Robinson. There aren't any secrets on this Heat team anymore as they push their way closer and closer to an NBA Finals appearance. What's become clear is what's so impressive about the whole team is that the entire roster is in a way underappreciated. Bam is an all-star, but he doesn't get the publicity of one. Tyler Hero walked into the NBA a living, breathing bucket. The whole team is constructed of overachievers, and that mentality is what makes them contenders. I think the key player from this franchise who's most lacking in love is Duncan Robinson, the former D3 player who put up 13.5 points per game this year. He shot 44.6% from 3 and is absolutely lethal from distance and helps this Heat team space out the court. From the Milwaukee Bucks, Pat Connaughton. When I say Pat Connaughton's impressiveness doesn't show up on the stat sheet, I don't mean it's because he's a hustle guy and an effort guy, which he is. I mean it's because he's Giannis's workout buddy, and at this point, anything Milwaukee can do to keep Giannis in that Cream City jersey is a must. And if Pat does that, they gotta keep him around. Pat is also an incredible athlete with a 44-inch vertical who can routinely steal rebounds from larger opponents and can provide energy explosions for the Bucks anytime he gets in the game. From the New York Knicks, Mitchell Robinson. Somehow the Knicks are one of the most publicized teams in the NBA, but I also feel like most casual fans would struggle to name a single player on this team. Because unfortunately for the faithful of the blue and orange, the number one Knick who grabs headlines is James Dolan. But to highlight an actual player who wears that blue and orange uniform, I'll have to highlight Mitchell Robinson. If Mitchell Robinson played for a real NBA team, I'm confident he would post double-doubles routinely and would truly be one of the best lob threats in the NBA. Mitchell Robinson has the skill set of an all-defensive selection center, and if he ever ends up on a real team, I think he would create a real impact for them. From the Orlando Magic, Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier being a scoring threat is not news to me. He's been a consistent three-point shooter most of his career. What surprised me is the fact that this year, Evan Fournier was the Magic's second leading scorer, putting up 18.5 points per game. Old Don't Google Fournier is an underpublicized member of an underpublicized team stuck in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. Evan Fournier is a potent scoring threat in the prime of his career, and the fact that most NBA fans don't know that about him is what makes him the definition of an underappreciated player. From the Philadelphia 76ers, Matisse Thybulle. Philly falls into the same category as Boston here. It's hard to label somebody as underappreciated on a team that gets so much coverage. So I'm going to choose the easy way out here and pick a rookie. Matisse Thybulle put together an impressive campaign this year, even if the media or the stats don't necessarily tell you that. Thybulle was a serviceable three-point shooter, but more importantly, he showcased a potentially all-defensive level skill set. If Thybulle develops steadily from here, he could soon be revered as a very valuable, prototypical 3-and-D player, and could pile up all defensive selections throughout his career. From the Toronto Raptors, OG Anunoby. OG has a similar player profile to Thybulle, incredible defensive acumen and a solid three-point shooter. Through his third year in the league, OG is developing into a 3-and-D piece that would make him a strong addition to absolutely any roster in the league. Plus, he put Serge on scarves.
I put you on scarves, but what about scarves?
OG, I'm telling you, if you say it,
But what about scarves?
you put me in fashion, then I'm done.
But what about scarves?
I guess I'm done.
From the Washington Wizards, Davis Bertans. This year, the Wizards' average game ended with them losing 162 points to 192 points. While that might be a slight bit of hyperbole, it's basically what they had going on. The Wizards assembled a team of tremendous scoring options who would rather go to the Knicks than to play defense. Enter Davis Bertans. The former Spur made his way to the district this year and put up an impressive 15.4 points a game on 43% shooting from three. Bertans is a knockdown shooter, and at 6'10", that can provide major matchup problems for opposing teams. Well, that's it for the Eastern Conference edition of Underappreciated Players. There are a lot more underappreciated players across the league, and if there are any from the East that top your list and I didn't get to in this video, share them in the comments. And if you like this video, keep your eyes on my feed for when I post the Western Conference edition. Stay lit, and thanks for watching.